Did he indicate to you how long he worked at SIT?
Just a short period of time.
Did he indicate to you what he did there?
We didn't talk about what he did there.
I've nothing further, sir, Mr. Young.
Morning. Fair to say that Mr. Larson was cooperative when you were collecting the firearms parts?
Yes.
Didn't offer any resistance?
No.
In fact, he helped you go through the house and collect all the parts, right?
Yes.
And it's fair to say you characterized there as being several parts. There were a few firearms, most of which were in the gun cabinet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the majority of the pieces you collected were firearms parts, like not actually completed firearms, right?
There was many, firearms has many parts, throughout the month, yes.
And is it possible to take a look at the frames that were used previously? Do you happen to remember what these two particular frames were located?
To the best of my knowledge, they would have been in the room that I termed the office. Where in that room they were found, I do not recall.
They weren't hidden away.
Not that I remember, no.
And as I asked earlier, he was actually helping you collect all these parts, correct?
He was, yes.
Okay. Now, these two particular frames, you've had a chance to look at these, correct?
I have, yes.
And you did say you're not an expert in firearms, correct?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Now, these were subsequently identified as a 1911 frame and a 228 frame. Did you make that identification, or is that how a frame was did that?
I made no identification on those.
Okay. These two frames in itself, would it be fair to characterize these as sort of the skeleton of a firearm? I really can't even. A skeleton? I can't testify to that. Okay. But obviously they're not working firearms in the current condition.
There need many other pieces to make it a working firearm.
Okay. And they have what looks like screw holes all throughout the frame? That would appear to be?
They could be screw holes if you return them now.
And is there any serial number on either of these frames?
No serial number on this one? I do not see a serial number on this one.
Do you have any trademarks?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So there's no visible, 6-hour trademark stamp on either frame?
Not that I can see, no.
Okay. No way for you to tell by looking at these frames who manufactured them?
Correct.
Now, you said you contacted, and you wrote in your police report, that you contacted a special agent from the ATF.
Yes.
Okay. And that agent came, and you gave him access to the property room.
I did.
Okay. And you let him look at all the firearms and firearms parts.
I allowed them access to everything on the seat that day.
Okay. And that was because some of the parts didn't have serial numbers, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so you wanted to make sure that everything was legal, so to speak, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so the federal agent comes and looks at everything, right?
Yes.
And doesn't take any further action.
Mr. Fender is with the special agent.
Right, but I'm asking about the ATF agent at this point. He doesn't take any further action.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And as far as you're aware of, there are no federal charges coming from the ATF?
As far as I know, that's correct.
Okay. So as far as you know from the ATF, everything looks kosher, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Alafringa works for 6 Hour, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You said he also works for the ATF?
I believe he does. Please don't quote me on this. I believe he works as a subsidiary of the ATF, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. But his primary employer is 6 Hour, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And 6 Hour, just for the record, is a firearms manufacturer.
Correct.
And they're based in, is it Exeter?
Epping.
Epping, I'm sorry, okay. And to the best of your knowledge, is Epping where they manufacture their firearms?
To the best of my knowledge, that's correct.
Okay. Now, not all the parts, not all the firearms were 6 Hour firearms, correct?
Correct.
There were, like you said, several different brands.
Yes.
Okay. And then there were some pieces like this that didn't have any particular trademark on them, right?
Correct.
Okay. There was a photograph that was, if I may take that photograph. So this is a photograph of some of the evidence that was seized, correct?
Correct.
Did you take that photograph or did Alan bring to take it?
Al took that photograph.
Okay. So, you yourself have no basis to tell whether the objects in that photograph were manufactured by Sig Sauer or manufactured by someone else?
Correct.
And you allowed Mr. O'Fringan to sort of look through all the property?
Yes.
Nothing further to this witness.
Is there anything?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, officer. You can sit down.
Said call, Mr. Hoffman.
Come right up here, please, sir.